This was the first story I ever got published, so it felt appropriate to kind of come back to it. And it's told. I'm going to start at the beginning, but I'm going to skip ahead a couple of times. But I'll let you know when. So far away. My Aunt Delilah was afraid of men. She had only arrived in Canada at the start of the summer, but it seemed like longer than that. My sister and I each had our own rooms before Delilah came to live with us. Allie had to move in and share my room so Delilah could take hers. Allie's dolls and stuffed animals seemed out of place under my hockey posters in grade 6 honor roll plaque. We had to get bunk beds so everything could fit. I took the top bunk at first, but Allie was too scared the bunk would break and she'd be crushed, so we switched. At night, Allie and I could hear Delilah snoring through the drywall. But snoring was better than when she first came. She kept everyone awake the whole night. At 2 a.m, she woke everyone up, shouting, "Clara, there's a man in the house. Hurry, bring a stick." Everyone stumbled downstairs, half asleep. Mom and Dad crept into the kitchen and looked out into the backyard, but they saw nothing. "There, right there," Mom told Allie and me. Mom told Allie and me they don't have glass doors like that in Goa, and sent us back to bed. The next night, Delilah thought there was a man inside her house. She said she had heard a noise coming from the laundry room. Our dryer was old, and the sound probably came from the vent, but Delilah thought a man was inside the dryer. She pressed the start button and ran. "If he's in there, let him spin." Eventually, Delilah got onto our schedule. Mom helped her get a job at the pharmacy near our house. She was late for her second shift, but told the pharmacist that his clock was wrong. Mom tried to reason with her when she got back. "How can your employer's clock be wrong? That's the time you have to go by." "The kids must have fiddled with my watch then. It's always correct." "I had my own watch," Allie said, and held up her arm. "A Bugs Bunny one. These kids have too much. Do you remember what we had back home? Spoiled rotten." Delilah's Indian accent was much stronger than my parents', and it sounded like rotten. Allie and I thought Delilah was from another planet. We tried to avoid her after she called us that. We hoped she wouldn't get the time off work to come on vacation with us. "Does Delilah have to come with us?" I asked Mom. "Auntie Delilah. And of course she does." "But she'll ruin our vacation," Allie said. So the family goes to, they rent a cottage up in Salvo Beach, and this is just after the drive. The father has stayed back to take a nap, but the rest of the family is at the beach. Our usual spot in the sand dunes had been sectioned off with orange mesh fencing. There was a sign posted with a picture of a gray and white bird under the words "Piping Plover, Endangered Species Nesting Grounds." Someone had used a marker to add an M to the sign, so it read "Pimping Plover" instead. We continued down the beach and found a spot near the sand closer to the water. The sun looked lonely in the sky without clouds, but its rays warmed my skin nicely. "Like the beaches in Goa, no?" Mom said. "Except no coconut trees," Delilah said. Allie and I dropped our towels and bags and ran to the lake. We tested the temperatures with our toes. It was cool at first, but we waded in. We always paused before the water reached our privates, jumping the gentle waves, afraid to take the next step. Eventually, one of us splashed the other one, and we both went under. We swam for a short while, but got out as soon as Delilah came in. "Mom, why is Delilah going in the water with her t-shirt and shorts?" Allie asked. Mom was digging a hole for the beach umbrella. She looked up and said, "We'll have to get her a bathing suit tomorrow. In India, people just swim in whatever they're wearing." We watched Delilah sit in the shallow water where only the young kids played. She came running back soon after, dripping water. "The water's cold, very cold." "It's fine once you get in," Allie said. "Lousy. What's the point of the beach if the water's so cold? And no salt. Vagathor Beach back home is much better. Now I have to go to the toilet." It was so cold. The washrooms are down there, I pointed to a small building at the end of the beach. I'd never heard someone say they had to go to the toilet. It sounded rude. Allie and I just peed in the lake. We blamed each other for any warm spots we swam through. "Aye, Saiba," Delilah said, before she turned to go. I could hear her talking to herself as she speed walked down the beach. Her voice trailed off. But I kept watching her. Delilah had been saying things were better in India ever since she arrived. "Why did Delilah come here, Mom?" I asked. Mom stuck an umbrella in the hole she had dug. "Well," she said, filling the hole with sand and patting it down, "if one of you were in a nice place with lots of opportunity, wouldn't you want your family to be there too?" I nodded. It takes courage to come from a place so far away to one that's so different than the one you're accustomed to. "Is she going to stay with us forever?" Allie asked. "That's up to her." My dad, wearing swimming trunks, a golf shirt, and a blue Montreal Expos hat, eventually joined us on the beach after his nap. "I went walking, but didn't see Cassius," he said, and sat down on the corner of the beach mat next to my mom and Delilah. "Where did you tell your friend to meet you?" Mom asked. "The beach." I was lying on my towel, letting the sun dry me after swimming again. Allie was drawing pictures in the sand near the water. "You didn't tell him where to meet you? The beach is miles long," Mom said. "What does he look like?" Delilah asked. "He's as tall as me, from Madras, but doing well for himself here. He works for the government and has a house in Mississauga, and the cottages he rents in Wyerton." "Is he friendly with anyone?" Mom asked. "Bachelor. I will introduce you, Delilah." "Oh, no, Delilah said, shaking her head. "Why not? You need to hurry. There's not much time left to start a family." "Felix," Mom snapped. "Just introduce them and see if they get along. That is, if you ever find this Cassius." She and Delilah started laughing. They were interrupted by a shout. "Felix!" A man walked up wearing a Molson t-shirt and holding his sandals in his hand. "Cassius, you found us. How you doing?" Dad stood up and shook his hand. "Good, I recognized your hat. Come, meet the family. This is my wife, Clara." They shook hands and smiled. "My son, Aiden." I sat up from my towel. Cassius looked me in the eye when he shook my hand with a tight grip. He had a nose like a parrot's beak. Well, maybe not as long, but still pretty big. "And this is my lovely sister-in-law, Delilah." An awkward silence followed. "Aiden, go fetch your sister to meet Cassius," Mum said. I looked back to see Cassius sitting down on the mat beside Delilah. He said something to her I couldn't hear, and she tilted her head backwards and laughed loud and clear, her voice ringing across the beach. So this is a bit later. Cassius came over and had dinner and invited the family to his place in Wyerton, and they're just getting ready now. Mom and Dad went to pick up a bottle of wine for Cassius while we got ready to go. Delilah put on her blue sari and makeup and asked, "How do I look?" "Beautiful," Allie said. "Are you going to marry Cassius?" "We just met." But then she shrugged. "Let's see what happens." "If he catches you a fish today, I think you should," Allie said. Delilah laughed hard but had to stop herself before she ruined her makeup. "Who knows? Maybe I'll catch a fish for him," said Delilah. "One old neighbor of ours taught me how to fish when I was young. Fantastic fisherman he was. Only needed a stick, a line, and a small piece of mango skin to catch fish. I'll show you when we get there. Allie, go fetch that stick I used for the fire. I don't have mango, but I'll use an orange skin instead." Cassius brought a beer for my dad and shandies for my mom and Delilah, then asked Allie and I what we wanted to drink. "Beers as well?" He ruffled my hair and pinched Allie's cheeks. We were all seated on Cassius's deck, facing the lake. Cassius had barbecued hamburgers and corn on the cob, and after we'd finished eating, he said, "Shall we move down to the dock?" We walked across the short beach that had stones instead of sand. Delilah stopped at the car to grab her stick and orange. "What are those for?" Cassius asked, as we walked out onto the dock. "Fishing," she replied, stepping out of her sandals. "You aren't going to catch anything with that." "Who said?" "I just need some line. I'll show you. There's line in that green tackle box right there, but you're better off using one of my rods." Delilah found a spool of blue fishing line and tied it to her stick just below the knot in the wood. She tied a weight and a hook to the line, then bit off a small piece of orange peel and attached it to the hook, then threw the line in the water and stared at the brief ripples it made. I was curious to see if Delilah's way of fishing actually worked. Mom, Dad, Allie, and I sat on lawn chairs on the dock and watched. The mosquitoes had just come out. "Well, if you're fishing, I might as well join you," Cassius said. He grabbed an expensive-looking rod from the rowboat, tied to the dock. From a coffee can full of soil, he found a fat worm, took out a red Swiss Army knife, and sliced the worm in two. He tossed one half of the squirming worm back into the coffee can and poked the hook through the other half. With a quick flick of his wrist, he cast the line out much farther than Delilah's. Cassius got a few nibbles right away, but didn't catch anything. He and Delilah threw out their lines again and again. "You sure you don't want some real bait?" Cassius asked. "I'm fine," replied Delilah. A moment later, Cassius said, "Your weight is too heavy. Nothing's going to bite that deep." "Just wait, Bubba," Delilah said. My mom and dad exchanged a look. Cassius and Delilah sounded like an old married couple. Allie and I were going to head back to the beach to skip stones, but Cassius's line went tight and the rod bent down. "Oh yeah," he shouted, reeling in the fish like an expert. He pulled the fish out of the water and said, "Rainbow trout, a beauty." The fish was frantic, flopping back and forth on the dock. Cassius grabbed hold of it tightly and stopped its flailing. It was a medium-sized fish, but a good-looking one, with a spotted back and pink stripes down its sides. Cassius took a pair of pliers from the tackle box, removed the hook from the fish's mouth, and held it up for everyone to see. Delilah stayed at the end of the dock, rolling in her line. Cassius asked my dad to open the cooler before he slid the catch in and snapped it shut. "Tell you what, Felix, why don't you take this one home with you? Have him for lunch tomorrow. A little butter, fry him up in your golden." "Thanks, Cassius," my dad said. "No problem. You know how to clean it, right?" "I'm sure the wife does," Dad said. He smiled at Mom with playful eyes. "No, thank you," Mom said. Gave him a slight whack on the shoulder. "That's one job I could never stomach." "How about you, Delilah? You clean fish, right?" Cassius asked. "Only ones I catch myself." Delilah threw her line back out. "Well, I'm good for the day," Cassius said. But when he saw Delilah was still trying, he cast his line out again. As the pair continued their back and forth teasing, the light turned dim. I wondered when the competition would end. I wanted Delilah to catch something, even a small fish. She looked so out of place standing there, in a sari, fishing barefoot off the dock. And then her line wiggled. She pulled it up slowly, gave it a little tug. "Probably a boot," Cassius teased. But Delilah kept her concentration. A second later, the line ran sharply to the right, knocking her off balance. "Arre!" she shouted. She regained her footing and turned the stick sideways, like she was water skiing off a fast boat. We cheered her on, not wanting the fish to get away. To reel it in, she rolled the stick in her hands. I was worried it might break, but she had clearly done this before. The line became shorter and shorter until she yanked the fish out of the water like a stubborn weed from the ground. The smile on her face when she pulled it up was pure joy. It was the biggest and ugliest fish I had ever seen. Dark gray, the fish had a flat head, small eyes, and whiskers on its face like a dirty old man. Delilah still held the stick with both hands. The fish didn't fight at all once out of the water. It stayed so still, and it spun slowly as the line untwisted. "You should throw that thing back," Cassius said. "Throw it back? Why?" Delilah asked. "It's a catfish." "So? We'll fry this one up too." "You don't want to eat that. If you'd caught a salmon or a trout, I'd say keep it. But a catfish? You're just jealous. It's bigger than your fish." "Trust me, you don't want to keep that thing." Cassius took out his Swiss Army knife. He grabbed the line and cut it with his knife. The catfish fell, bounced off the edge of the dock, and plunked back into the water. "Idiot!" Delilah said. And before any of us knew what was happening, she pushed Cassius off the dock and into the water. Thank you so much.